my expertise, or you wanted me to come in and start doing the agent training for all of REMAX. And they were very like, we have to offer it to everybody. And you were like, no.
Agents have to believe that they can work through this. We are the ones that have to show the way and educate that this can be done.
Sitting down with Carolyn Petreccia of REMAX Advantage was a special day for me. She's one of the most inspirational people that I know. I think a lot of her success comes from being a good, honest person. We had a really great interview when it came to just getting down to over the years of what Carolyn's done in the industry. Today is probably one of those flashback, go back moments where I am reflecting on some of the partners that I've had since day one and people that have really believed in Dan Balkin and what I've done over the years. So I'm really happy today to be sitting with Carolyn Petreccia of the REMAX Advantage here in Warwick, Rhode Island. Carolyn, nice to have you today.
Thank you,
Thank
Danny.
you for
Thank you
allowing us into your brokerage. As we started walking around earlier, we saw this beautiful wood. So, first and foremost, tell people obviously who you are.
Okay.
And how long you've been. I know you're one of the original OGs of REMAX in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So give them everybody knows who you are,
well,
but let's talk about, how long you've been part of this.
So basically, I've been an owner for 32 years. I was an agent and I became an owner. I've been in 4 different locations in those years. In this particular building, we've been here for a little bit over 10 years now, and we have 33 agents housed here. And it was a labor of love because this building was built in 1878. It went through the flood of 2010, and it was a project that I just felt drawn to when I saw it, and I just felt that I couldn't live if I didn't have the building. If I couldn't have the building, I couldn't live. Right. It was 1878. This used to be a bridal salon. This building was completely devastated during the major flood. So when we came in here, it was pretty much destroyed. The only thing that was intact was all this wood. This wood is the original wood, and it stayed intact. And to be honest with you, there was mold all downstairs, and incredibly, this wood stayed intact. Totally renovated the whole building. Labor of love. This took a long time. But the property enabled me to have good parking close to the highway. So even though it was kind of a disaster, we made it work. No, this actually is 3 floors. So I have the 2 floors, and then you could put an apartment on the 3rd floor. So basically, I tried to save as much as I could, and that stained glass window is the original, and that I was completely mesmerized with keeping. So we had to do some work to it, but we were able to save it. Like I said, this is a big office space here. This becomes pretty much mainstream here because there was not, I kept the little fireplace thing there, but we mainstreamed it, so we've got large office space up here for the agents.
Doors.
Yeah, well, those pocket doors are the original pocket doors.
Yeah.
I didn't touch them. They're the same as they were.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
Look at that.
Offices here. I've got a conference room coming up there, and then kitchen, and then this is where the apartment would be up here.
Our first encounter was, I believe, in 2007, and you were in the, what plaza is that?
Target Plaza. I was up the Target Plaza.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just different because it was a strip mall, and I know that Route 2 had taken a big hit during the downsturn of 2007, 2008.
Right.
So did you lose exposure? Did you feel like you were just so far back that you needed better exposure, or you just needed better camaraderie to have a better office? Or
I think I got to the point in the ownership level that I realized that renting wasn't going to get me really where I wanted to be, that I wanted to own something. And at that particular time, we were coming through that 2008, 2009 slump when the banks really did a job on people. And I just sat back and I said, I think Route 2 is falling apart, so I'm going to get off it. So I just kind of said one day, I have to leave, and I want to own something. And I looked far and wide, and then this came up. It was a mess, provided good access, good parking, and I just decided to run with it. But it was basically because we were coming out of that very, very bad time of,
which is actually
a lot of agents don't even know what that time was.
And it's funny because I look back now and when I say like back from the beginning of time when Dan Balkan kind of was reinvented as Short Sale Dan,
Right.
Carolyn was one of the leaders for me that really gave me an opportunity to spread my wings, so to say.
Right.
So
Right.
we met back in 2000, beginning of 2008, when I had that huge short sale seminar.
Right.
And and from there, Carolyn was like my biggest advocate. It was amazing how she fought hard for me because REMAX had a very tight knit. It was just different. We were transitioning to a much different time,
Right.
and education wasn't really that sexy or it wasn't that
Right.
important. And all of a sudden, we had niched out something completely different.
Right.
And then you helped me then start with all of the REMAX brands, all the way up until here we are today.
Right.
Yeah.
At that point, education, Danny and I really believed in educating the agents, and it wasn't the biggest thing to do, but it was important to us, and we would have seminars all over the place. And a lot of it was regarding the time that we were in where so many people were losing their houses to, the short sales.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even remember how many we did, but we did them all over the state.
Yeah. So the REMAX Rhode Island brand, was something that I'm sure you were instrumental in putting all of that together with some of the other brokers and kind of forming your own little brand inside the brand.
Right. So basically, we have 14 offices in Rhode Island, and we all work cohesively. We have a council that works where all the owners come together monthly to further, our, shall we say, our feeling of what our agents should represent and who they should want to be out there in the marketplace. And one of the things is we believe strongly in is align yourself with successful people. When you align yourself with successful people, you get drawn to that success, and that if they can do it, you can do it.
And at the time, I felt so unsuccessful, right? Because I had gotten into the title business in 2004, and I had a great run until like 2007, and then all of a sudden it fell off the face of the earth, right? So here we are, I'm trying to figure out the way or a niche or just to try to stay in the industry, and the next thing you know, God brings me to Carolyn, and maybe I brought, somebody brought me to you, but it was you because I didn't really have the real estate relationships that I needed.
Right.
And that's why I say you were very instrumental from day one for me, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I all the way through and through, even like today, my wife sent me today with a little picture from the father-daughter dance. She's like, this will brighten up Carolyn's day.
Well, it will.
You've seen my daughter being born. You've seen my girls grow.
Yes.
We've seen each other's families grow. And I'm very thankful
it's a
for
different
that.
it's a different relationship, and I think what Danny is saying true, because at that particular time that we got to meet, we were dealing with fierce banks that all they were doing was preying on our clients and making their lives miserable. So here comes the realtors. There were a lot of ton of bank-owned properties. I mean, I was a bank agent, and I hated it because I just always felt bad for the people that were getting displaced.
Yeah.
But that went on for how many years? Did that go on? 2?
6.
No, 6 years was it?
From short sale land?
Yeah.
And all that? Yeah, I mean, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, started 13-ish, it started to slide away.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good 5-6 year run
it was.
Of, a lot of distress.
Yeah.
The economy took a really big hit, and to come full circle, here we are sitting from 2007 to 2023, and we're starting to trend back that way a little bit. But I just wanted to hop back on, I'd love to, a little revisionist here, just talking about what you did for me, because I don't think people really get the magnitude of how important it was for me that Carolyn had my back.
Well,
I remember you fighting because you were
people didn't know, people weren't familiar with what was going on. They didn't want to think out of the box.
So I remember the council, so to say, you and all the other owners, and I remember you fighting for me, saying like you wanted my expertise, or you wanted me to come in and start doing the agent training for all of REMAX for that whole year. I think it was 2009. We had set that in, or 2008.
Right.
And they were very like, we have to offer it to everybody.
Right.
And you were like, no.
It's
going to be Dan, or it's going to be nobody.
It was an interesting period, and I think it's a period that, if you're a veteran agent, you work through it, and you hope you're never going to see something like that. What Danny said about right now, I mean, I think right now we're not going to have anywhere near what happened before when we had the years of decline. But I think the important thing is agents have to believe that they can work through this. They can't say, well, what's going to happen? we are the ones that have to show the way and educate our clients, whether they're sellers or whether they're buyers, that this can be done.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, I think there was so much fear going on in the market back then. And a lot of the realtors, I mean, there's 5,500 realtors in Rhode Island. I would bet you there's a huge amount of realtors that haven't even been licensed for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So to remember what went on,
You have no clue.
no.
They've heard.
Yes.
You know,
They've heard about it, but they didn't live through it.
Yeah, they've only been on like that 04, 05, 06 run, like that's 2016, 17, 18. It's only been going up.
Right.
And here we are plateauing a little bit, you know.
Right.
The roller coaster, I call it.
Well, we're plateauing, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is a street business. You've got to connect with people on the street.
Yeah.
You can't sit behind a computer and connect.
Right.
So one way, shape, or form, you've got to find your way, connect with your people, have them know that they can trust you, you're going to educate them, and you're going to get them to where they want to go. If you can do that, then you can make it through any market.
Success,
so it's really it's building your reputation and building your skill set. It's skill set. It's basically skill set.
And
so
we've done some work. I'm talking about reputations, and having a good reputation is very important in this business. Not so much just look at me, like here I am, sold.
Right.
Braggadocious in their own kind of way, and being uneducated.
Right.
Because those people are nowhere to be found right now.
Well,
in the last the last 6 or 8 months, or last year, it's kind of changed a little bit.
Well, I mean, the sad fact of the matter is, and I'm not trying to be negative, but if out of the 5,500 realtors, 50% of them never sell a house.
Right.
So as a veteran realtor, that's a problem for me. Okay, it's a real problem.
Right.
Out in the real world. So you have to say to yourself, when you're bringing your client someplace, I know Joe Dugan. I've done business with him. I know he'll get the job done, and you're gonna want to do business with that particular person.
And you've had your license for how many years? 30?
30 something.
Yes,
Yeah,
I will call it 30 something.
Yeah, 30 something.
And you've kept like your book of business is residual, right? It's not just like one burn and turn, go to the next one, burn and turn, go to the next one.
No, my business is
you've
all
probably
referrals.
sold houses to their kids, their grandkids, and all the way through and down the line.
I mean, right now with technology, my job right now is to make sure I have somebody in place that brings technology in here. Whether I use it or not, it doesn't make a difference. I'm doing what I have to do as a broker to bring the services to my agents in what they need to do today. But if you're a veteran, you're working on a referral basis, but you're also looking for business for your newer agents that may come through different lead gen systems that we now have. That years ago we didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
We had none of that.
Yeah.
Not to age Danny and I.
CRMs, like none of that stuff was even thought about.
We didn't have that. So now the job is really what fits best with the agents that have under 5 years experience.
Yeah.
How do they want to see themselves in another 5 years?
And how does that change now that your daughter is also part of the brokerage, right, Jennifer? And
Well,
she brings that newer
She
style.
she is my she's my manager of all things tech.
All
things tech, because obviously, not that I'm not interested in it, but there's no reason to even try and teach it to me. So why? I surround my people. They say surround yourself with people who know better than you. So we have same thing with our social media. We have a social media person. Social media is a behind the scenes thing, but it's very, very important. So you hire somebody to do that. You have a transaction coordinator, because that's very important. Those things you don't need to have somebody that's been in the business 10, 15 years. You can teach those skills to somebody else. I think it's really the cohabitation of you in the marketplace with your other realtor friends, because we should be friends, and your co-brokes and your clients. I mean, that's the whole thing right there in a nutshell.
Awesome. So, and another thing, Carolyn, like as we talk, having had many realtors in part of your organization, like what would you see as that next generation, or what do you think makes a good agent in this market, or even for having longevity in the market?
Well, I don't think the elements of why you're a good agent has changed as much as the tools that we use. But to me, it's a commitment from an agent. It's a consistency, and it also is the agent has the ability to change as the times are changing.
Right.
So if we're going through a situation where it might not be ideal, or say they're not having a good month or two, then it's up to the broker to sit them down, talk about what may be going right, what may not be going wrong. They may they have a team leader that they could go to, but it has to come from the top. The leadership has to be, cognizant that agents aren't going to get up every day and be happy and want to go out and do these things.
Right.
Sometimes they're not in the mood. So those little goals and those little things, tasks that they do every day are very critical to whether they'll have longevity in the business. It has to be in them to understand you can't work one day a week and be successful and continue on with that. It's a consistent daily task.
And how about mentorship? How important is that for agents as well?
Well, I have a mentorship program here which allows me to mentor people, and they have to stay in the mentorship for a certain period of time, following a seasoned agent around, and then being allowed to go out and go out on their own. So as the broker, because of different responsibilities, I feel it's very important for them to shadow a high producing agent and see how they're acting with clients, whether it's a listing, showing, or whether they're just out at an open house and things like that.
So did you do that for your daughter? Did she mentor you? Did she follow behind you, or did you hand her off to somebody else?
No, she followed behind me.
Yeah,
she followed behind me. Yeah, she followed behind me.
She's doing great.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, she followed behind me, but it's I think everybody, when they get in this business, they just can't go out on the street. This is one of the most important things that somebody's going to do in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, beside getting married, maybe having a child, buying a house is right up there in the top 4 or 5 things you're going to do.
Right.
So you've got to be equipped with some skills.
Right.
You've got to be equipped to handle what
you have to kind of like people too, right?
Well, you've got to like people, but more importantly, you have to make sure that you're following a procedure that is going to get you to the end without not getting you having a problem if you can avoid it on the way over.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, brokers are responsible for all their licensed people. My objective is to make sure all the brokers are doing what they need to do in an efficient manner that somebody will say, I'm going to refer you to, my family member. Yeah. I'll never buy a house without you. That's what you want to hear from people.
Right. What's still your favorite part of the business? Like what drives you every day, to put that smile on your face, to get the energy, to still be competitive and be you?
I think it just has to do with, I get a feeling, a very, very warm feeling when I see agents succeed and they don't even know their own capabilities.
Yeah.
And they go out there and they're able to do things that they didn't think they could do.
Yeah.
But once they do it, they know they can repeat it. So at this stage in my career, it's definitely feeling good more about what the agents are doing and achieving, because I've pretty much done a lot. So I mean, it gets me going every day. People say, "Why don't you just not work anymore?" Because this is my blood. This is like a fourth child to me. This is my baby. Yeah. And
the little boy you never had.
Well, exactly.
We share the same sentiment.
Exactly.
We all have girls.
I know.
We both have girls
but
together.
this is kind of why even my friends will say, "Well, why do you go into that office every day?" Because I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it. And some of them think that I'm crazy. You can do whatever you want to do. I said, but you don't understand. This is what I want to do.
Right.
And if you don't do it, then you won't understand it.
Yeah.
Danny, you're very involved with a lot of realtors, and you
Sure.
are very generous in your support of realtors and their ability to grow. Why do you feel that's important for you?
Oof, that's a great question. I think I'll flip it back to what you just said, actually. I truly am passionate about helping people. Seeing people successful to me is super important. I've seen people start with one transaction. I've seen your daughter start with no experience in this business, maybe following you around all those years in the car or whatever. But I've seen Jen, I've seen other agents that you've mentored, I've seen plenty of other realtors that I work with start in game plan, right? And like people listen to the advice, they listen to mentorship. But the one thing that still gets me up every day is wanting to see people successful. I've never done this for the zeros in my paycheck. Honestly, I think that always comes down the line with success and helping other people being successful. Like I could sit here and say all the right things, tell people how great Dan Balkan is or how great Balkan Title is. But like if I'm not helping people get to their goals and achieve their goals, then I don't feel like Balkan Title's a success. And I certainly 1000% don't feel like Dan Balkan's a success at all.
What I'm hearing is that it's not always generated by money.
It isn't.
It's not always generated by money because let's face it, it's just not. So there's other reasons why successful agents or brokers go on to different things that are important to them because it's just not about the money.
Yeah. I feel like it's law of attraction too. I think you find people like you or find people that are better than you to become successful. Like had I not met Carolyn Petreccia, 15 years ago, I don't know if my path would, as Patrick would tell me, like there's a higher being always, right? That kind of puts everybody into place where they think they should be. And so like, had I not met you, had I not put that first seminar on, had I not tried to change what I was doing in my everyday today, losing title business as the banks were going out of business. So I'm very fortunate because I think I've had people that maybe saw something in me that I never saw and were willing to help me to become a better person in the meantime, right? So, maybe you saw something, besides like my smile or
Right.
like, I had a full head of dark hair back then, but there were things that were happening and you were like, wow, I think he's going to be an asset or he's going to be able to help
Right.
or he's going to be able to, educate realtors and put on a good show and be a good person.
The concept of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You stepped out of your comfort zone years ago. And I think that's what agents sometimes have the hardest thing to do is stepping out of their comfort zone. They may be coming from a different, angle. They may be coming from another, career that they had. So the comfort zone is what will make or break you. Can you get on the phone and talk to somebody that maybe you don't know? What can you do that you weren't able to do before? And how do you feel about it when you come out of that comfort zone?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you've accomplished something?
Yeah.
And it's not only the little things, it's your whole mindset changes. I can do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's an important
I
thing.
think that it's
Reassurance that what you're doing on a daily basis. And I always talk about those ABCs.
right.
And it's for me, it's attitude, behavior, and
Right.
consistency, not always be closing.
Right.
And
the fact of the matter is, it's a truthism, if that's a word, that people will do business if they trust you. They have to trust you. If they don't trust you, they don't want to be with you because that factor is so big in what we do.
Yeah.
And I think you can't minimize that. It's like you said, it's marrying off your daughter. It's starting a career. This is a life-changing event for these people. We have to always keep that in the front of our minds, in the front of our minds, in the way we address things and in the way we treat people.
Yeah.
I mean, realtors probably need to treat each other better. There's sometimes there's not a lot of collegial, things going on between realtors, but the fact of the matter is we're all in the same game.
So Carolyn, after we've been talking about pretty much everything from the day we met to where we are now, and you've accomplished, as we've talked about, so many of these milestones. So what's left for CP? What's left for Carolyn Petreccia? Where do you see your next 2, 3, 5, maybe 20 years in real estate, or who knows, right? I mean, but
Don't think that.
Yeah. What would you like to see, like, as your final defining moment, if you could take that?
Strangely enough, my final defining moment really revolves around my children. And basically, it revolves around the fact that I was a single mom, and I just wanted to do something that I felt I could leave to my children and they would be proud of me. That has been the thing that's kept me going. It's as simple as that. I wanted to leave something to my girls. I have 3 children, and I just kept doing it, and I never didn't stop loving it.
Yeah.
I never stopped loving it. So
That's
I mean,
awesome.
that's really the way it went.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what else can you say? I mean, and you got one to follow you. right?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah.
I don't put anybody on the spot. I
Yeah.
just kind of like, let everybody do what they have to do. But, my legacy is simple. I just want to say that whatever I did in this world, my children are proud of me, and I did them right.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
you're already in the
basically it.
REMAX Hall of Fame.
Well, we'll forget about those things.
Producer.
That's all about money. That's all about money. It's
You don't get there unless you're a good person too, though.
Well,
like we can talk about how many transactions you've done over the years.
No.
But no, I know.
Yeah.
But what we do is there are accolades that come along with that, and I know you're not an accolade person. Like you like to see other people being successful. I know you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you put on these big awards with the REMAX Awards, it's like you're there promoting. You're the one putting the balloons up. You're the one doing all of the hard work so that the agents are appreciated. And I think that's something that you may not ever do or tell people about, and I see that on a daily basis. But I don't think, as the REMAX brand has grown over these X amount of years, as you being one of the original REMAX owners in Rhode Island, I think that will be your legacy too, that maybe you won't see, but I think other people will, like, because your constituents are going to be very impressed with everything that you've done. And so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And it coming from me, it may not mean a lot, but I can tell you your influence that you've had on me, and it had nothing to do about making $1.
It does, and you know what? I can honestly say that if I didn't think I was in the right place, I wouldn't continue it.
Yeah.
So I do believe I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would change too much.
Yeah.
But we can always
you
improve.
Can't go back, right?
We can always improve. But
That's
I
right.
think I'm in the right place, and right now I'm just humbled to be the leader of an empowered group of agents who want to be the right type of agents, and they want to succeed.
Yeah.
And when I don't like doing that anymore, then I'll say my sayonara. Sorry, what the word is. I'll say goodbye, and I'll wish everybody luck. But right now, my juices are still flowing.
That's awesome.
My juices are still flowing.
We've known each other, and we've been doing business, almost coming up on 2 decades now. And so why Dan Balkin? Like, why Balkin Title? Like, why me? Like, out of all the people you can partner with, or, you can, it's always good to find out and let the listening audience find out, like, why me? Like, why do you think you and I have done so well together?
I think that your approach is much different than a lot of other people's approach. So, I mean, that in itself speaks for itself. And your concept of what you want to do in the real estate community is different than other people. So you're not just doing closings, you're cementing relationships that will last. And most people don't do that. They don't care about those relationships. It's just really, how many closings do I have this month? Whatever. So you're a good person that wants to see the real estate community venture out a little bit. Maybe it's not glitchy to do it, but you think it's the right thing, so you're going to go out and do it. So, I give you a lot of kudos for that, because some people just sit behind their desk and just say, I don't want to do that. Yeah. But you've always ventured out to do the right thing and really make connections with realtors that now are, partners with you. Yeah. They partner with you because they believe in you as a good person who wants to do the right thing.
I appreciate you sitting down.
Well,
with
thank
me,
you for listening to me.
Opening up your brokerage, your family to me, and over these years, it's been very appreciated on my end.
I appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time.
Yes.
And
thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. I think Carolyn's legacy is going to be somebody that people look back in 20 or 30 years that said, wow, she really was a trendsetter. I mean, I definitely look up to Carolyn. She has been somebody that I can call and ask a question to at any given time. She has a ray of light that I really look forward to listening to.